I was working patrol in the summertime. He waves me over to this guy on the ground and he says, hey, look, this guy came out of nowhere. I don't know who he is. I don't know what's wrong with him, but here he is.
Yeah.
So I end up turning that guy over and it just so happened to be you. I'm like looking in your eyes and I always describe it as like you had this 1,000-mile stare, like you were looking right through my eyes.
Yeah.
And you couldn't talk. Yeah. You started foaming at the mouth. You were kind of making these sounds like you weren't. It was wild. And that's when I recognized, I was like, man, this guy has just been shot through his chest.
They were trying to give this kid, 17 years old, just like me, 25 years. I remember talking to the judge in the courtroom and everything, and telling her like, it's just really trippy how you guys try to paint him like he's a bad guy. I was doing bad stuff too. I was literally selling drugs. Like
how much time did you do?
I gave him 5 years.
So when you say you gave him 5 years, tell me a little bit about that real quick.
Yeah, I told the judge, I was like, honestly, like I do not feel right with you guys giving him 25 years. I'm like, that's insane. I'm like, he will be an old man already. Like he won't have a life. Like his mom never gonna have no grandkids.
Bro, you gave him a level of grace, compassion, mercy. Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Tillman Show. And let me tell you, today is a special episode. We have a very special guest that I talk about more than he probably talks about himself. Every time I go and I'm speaking in school, speaking on a stage, even in my book, I talk about the person who is in studio with me today. And that man is a man by the name of Adrian. What's going on, Adrian?
What's up, everybody out there?
Good to see you.
Yeah, dude, it's good to see you. It's been a while.
This is a long time coming. And the reason why Adrian is a special guest is because Adrian was a student of mine at Don Lugo High School when I was a school resource officer. I think that was 2019. I want to say 2018, 2019. Yeah. And Adrian had a very, very interesting story that I share literally on every stage. It's probably one of the most popular stories I tell. It's a tearjerker for a lot of people. People always ask about Adrian without even knowing who Adrian is. Yeah. And we had a very special moment a few months ago. So the reason why I wanted Adrian to come on this podcast was because we have a very interesting dynamic, very interesting relationship. And I've learned, through Adrian and our story, like it's taught me lessons about love, really. And I actually share that in my book about leading with love. But anyways, this show is not about me today. This is about Adrian. I don't want to take your time away. But before we get to Adrian, if you are a fan of me, if you're a fan of the show, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's send this out to the masses because we want to continue to grow this channel. But without further ado, Adrian, man.
Yeah,
how do you feel about being here, bro?
Oh, man, it's a blessing, dude. I'm not even gonna lie. Like you said, this has been a long time coming. Like from the beginning, from when me and you first kind of met, at school at Don Lugo. I didn't never think it was gonna turn out to be any of this. I didn't expect like not one bit of this to happen. And I didn't expect you to go as far as you did, honestly, too. And I'm really glad that it was you who did end up going that far. Because I think you're a good guy, you know what I mean? You showed that to me, like, when I was really young, just from, like, I don't want to, like, say, like, on any of the other, like, school resource officers were, like, like, mean or nothing like that. But, like, sometimes, I think they kind of get the wrong idea of people, and I don't blame them, you know what I mean? Like, I had done what I had done, and I had dug my hole for myself kind of already. And looking back on it now, man, I only dug a 3-foot hole, but I feel like I need 6 feet worth of dirt to put it back. Like, you do more damage than you realize. Because you were always a friend, like you looked out for me. Remember you in your book, I think you said you probably arrested my dad already like 9 times, but you would always come and tell me like, hey man, we booked your dad last night, just because I wouldn't be wondering, like, where's my dad at, you know what I mean? And that was always like, that's cool, man. Like you didn't never owed me that,
Well, and on top of that, man, like I always tried to see past circumstance,
Yeah.
situation or circumstance. Like I always tell, when I was a police officer, I always tell people, even when I arrest people, like it's not my job to judge you.
Yeah,
Like that's on you. What you do is what you do. Because I'm not perfect either, and I've messed up. And I owed your dad the same respect. I would always respect your dad. Your dad would respect me, and I always say we had a funny relationship with
Yeah,
each other.
definitely. That was
But I
good.
always respected him, and so I want to jump forward, and then we're going to work our way back because I want to talk about how we got to just why this relationship is
Yeah.
expanded. But I remember in 2000, again, was it 2018 or
I think it
2019?
was one of those. I can't even remember.
Yeah,
Dude.
it
That
was
was
either
such a
blur, I would
year for
imagine.
me. Yeah, that was just a like.
Yeah.
Man, that was a lot to take in.
So I was working patrol in the summertime because you guys were out of school.
Yeah.
And we got a call for an unknown trouble, which an unknown trouble is like when somebody calls the police very frantically and they really can't describe what's going on because it's happening so quickly. And so it prompts a law enforcement response. And so I just so happen to be around the corner and I get there. And as I get there, this guy is waving me over, telling me like, hey, hurry up, officer, hurry up, come over here. So I get over there, and as I get over there, he waves me over to this guy on the ground, and he says, hey, look, this guy came out of nowhere. I don't know who he is. I don't know what's wrong with him, but here he is.
Yeah.
So I end up turning that guy over, and it just so happened to be you.
Yeah.
And when I turned you over, I'm like looking in your eyes, and I always describe it as like you had this 1,000-mile stare, like you were looking right through my eyes.
Yeah.
And you couldn't talk. You started foaming at the mouth. You were kind of making these sounds like you weren't. It was wild.
Yeah.
And so I'm like trying to process like what was going on, what's happening. I'm thinking like, is he having a seizure? Is he having a medical
Was there no
emergency?
blood?
Is he having no? There wasn't any blood. I was like, is he having a overdose? Like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then I saw blood.
Yeah.
I saw blood coming from your back.
Yeah.
And that's when I recognized, I was like, man, this guy has just been shot through his chest.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did was like grab both of my hands and try to plug your chest until the fire department and the ambulance got there. But man, like as I was going through that, like I didn't know what to think. And so do you remember any of that part?
I don't. I honestly, dude, I don't remember. Like, I passed out like as soon as I got out the truck, cause like
Well,
the
let's
whole-
talk about the part leading up to that.
Yeah, definitely. Because I feel like a lot of people kind of wonder how that even happened in the first place, And so basically, I was, doing things I shouldn't have been doing. Pretty much, I was selling weed and selling like stuff, just trying to make money, hustling. And I mean, that's a good mentality to have, but not in that way, to be doing it with that kind of stuff. Like I learned that now, and it took me a while to like figure out like that's not the way you want to be living life and going through it, with that. You should be working like a hard job or something like that, like it's easy money, fast money comes just as quick as it goes, whatever. So I'm doing that, right? And basically I had a buddy that I used to have all this stuff at his house, and he was we were doing a lot of stuff, and I think he just wanted to come down one night. He was probably like tripping, and he was smoking some of my stuff. And the way I used to have everything was I used to have it all laid out. I'd have it bagged up, weighed up, and to the exact where I would know exactly how much I have and everything. So I was going to make a sale that day, and I'd always check it every time before just to make sure. And I noticed it was off, and I'm just like, like what's up with that, man? Like, I told him, I'm like, you and your brothers are the only ones in here with this. I'm like, you know what I mean? So if you can't tell me like straight to my face, like it's not a problem, dude. We have so much, but just the fact that I can't trust you with my stuff is an issue.
Yeah.
And then the fact that we're supposed to be homies, and then I can't even trust what you're about to tell me. Like, oh yeah, man, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But that's like a big deal for me. Respect, and then like trust. It's huge, And so. Yeah, that happens, right? I ended up kind of just being like, okay, you know what, bro? If you can't tell me straight up to my face, and it's that a bit of a problem, I'm just gonna take all my stuff out of here, out of your house, And then, I think it kind of hurt his feelings, and he kind of felt like, like I disowned him or something like that, or like something, But I think he thought like it just gave him the right to plot on me, So days leading up into that, some people hit me up from BV. And he went to BV also, and I went to Don Lugo. So summer, and I call him up. I'm like, hey, these dudes hit me up from BV, like, and I know you go there. It's like, I know you know them. Like, what's up? Can you slide with me to go do this? Like, it would make me feel more comfortable. And he tells me like,
So they're hitting you up to go over
yeah,
to.
to meet him at that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now you were gonna go sell them
Yeah,
some drugs,
exactly.
some weed or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Yeah, and pretty much, I asked him like, come with me to do this because I know you know them, and he's all, oh, I'm working with my dad, like right now, blah blah blah. Long story short, he was in the getaway car with them,
The
and
guy that
this is Jarek. I didn't want to name names, but this is Jarek. You remember Jarek?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so honestly, yeah, I'm gonna just let it go because whatever, dude. But yeah, this is my buddy Jarek, and he was in the getaway car the whole time, I guess. And while I was calling him to come do this, and he tells
So
me,
you're calling him to go with you.
and he's already with these
He's
guys.
already with the guys
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
were supposedly go sell with, but
yeah,
he's acting like he's at home.
yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
then so he tells me go with this, go ask GT. We used to call him GT. His name's Alex, and he's like, go hit him up and he'll go with you. And I'm like, all right, for sure. And I had been to this dude's house already. Like, I know where he stayed and everything. So I'm thinking, like, why would he do something like that? Like, I could easily go there and do something else too, if it
Yeah.
ever went there. So I'm thinking, like, all right, cool, whatever. Not knowing he's even on it too. So now he's in my passenger seat. I pick him up. And I remember pulling up to this guy, the neighbor that called, right? And I pulled up. He was washing his boat, He was just washing it. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to pull up right here just in case, I don't know. I just always was like cautious, with this, And I remember Alex asked me, he's all, why are you pulling up right here behind this dude? And I'm just like, well, cause like, I don't know these guys. And like, if anything happens, like this guy's going to see it. And,
So you were already kind of thinking
oh,
in your mind, like, what
yeah.
happens if something goes south? I want somebody right
Oh,
here
yeah.
to see.
Oh yeah, and it's crazy, bro, because I promise you, like, as soon as I said that, like, I seen his face in my mirror, in my passenger side mirror,
You saw whose face?
Alex's
Oh,
face.
okay.
After I told him that,
Yeah.
and he's just like this. He goes like, and like he's caught, like, and I'm just like, what is he tripping on, like, And I look, and they're already coming across the street, and I'm just like. I'm just like, all right, like whatever, So I grab all the stuff out from under my seat, and I'm just like, it's go time ready, like they're already coming, and it's weird already because there's two of them.
And now let me ask you, prior to this point, you've already sold stuff
Oh
a
yeah,
handful of
I went
times.
through so much already.
You've already been dealing and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So you kind of know, like, hey, I've done
yeah,
this many times, but this moment felt much different.
yeah. Just because it was like red flags all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, why is he asking me that? And then like two, he's just the way he looked. Like, he looked stressed. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just like, all right, like whatever, dude. Like, it's too late. These fools are already coming. I'm like, whatever. So the dudes come to my window, and I remember he just pulls up, and I'm just like, hey, like, you got that or what? And then he just racks that thing back and puts it right here on my chest, right where my
So he
pendant's
pulled
at.
out a gun.
Yeah, and you're
Didn't even really say any words.
nah, didn't even not even really the chance, like, to nothing, like, and I'm just like, damn, because it's like it's not a BB gun, like, you've dealt with guns, right?
Yeah, you know
what
that
I
this is
mean?
a real
You
gun.
hear that sound and that
Yeah.
round go in there and everything, you know what I mean? Like, and we played with guns before too, so like, I'm just like, damn, dude, I'm like, and the neighbor heard the gun rack, he's seen it kind
Yeah.
of go down, and he takes off running inside, and he's like, give me all your shit, and I'm just like, you got me effed up, like, I ain't about to give you nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and looking back on it, I mean, I was a kid, dude. I was only 17. I'm thinking
Wow.
I'm thinking I'm Superman, and that's why I think, like, when this happened to me, that's probably one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it humbled me so much. And yeah, I just remember, like, he didn't know what to do after I told him that. Like, everybody was looking at me like, well, what do we do now? Like, he's not giving it up.
So you weren't
And
gonna give it up, even though he had a gun to you,
nah, cause like,
and you're thinking it was just pride.
I mean, it's just also too, like, I worked my ass off for that stuff, like, I actually had a job too, on top
Mm-hmm.
of that. And then two, you know, I used my name, because my dad and
Mm-hmm.
my family.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I was like, I got it fronted. Half of that stuff was under my name too. It wasn't even really paid for.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just like, you know, I'm like, I'm not gonna lose all that, you know what I mean? And it's just like, I don't know what it was, but it was like the dumbest thing I could say, you know? Like it was only like $200 worth of stuff.
Wow.
And I look back on it now, I make like so much more than that in a day. And I'm just like,
But a lot of it goes back to that young mind. And I talk about that
yeah,
all the times when I go to schools. Is like,
yeah,
our students. I have 3 kids.
yeah,
That your minds don't develop, and that's why we try to keep certain things away from our children, because it's not that I'm necessarily worried about exposing them to certain things, but it's how are they going to handle it and how are they going to process it? Because 17 years old, bro, in your mind, that $200 was everything,
my
and it almost
God.
cost you your life.
Felt like $1,000. Just, you don't really understand it at the
Yeah.
time. And like, I, I remember like, um, he would just had it resting on me, you know? And like, I'm just like, I remember I had my hands down here and I just tried to hit it away from me. And I went like that, and I swear I thought he missed. I didn't even feel it. I didn't feel anything. Like all I just remember was hearing like ringing my ears. I couldn't hear anything, and I could just feel everybody. I don't know who. I couldn't like. I was just had my eyes shut, and I was just holding on to everything I had. You know?
So did you know he had fired around?
Yeah, because I couldn't hear anything. Because I was like, damn. Because
But
I
you
had
didn't hear like a
music.
pop, but you just
Nah, because I had music playing in the car, and I was bumping. So I was like, it's just it went like quiet, and then the ringing came. Like it went so. I mean, it was in my face. You know, it went off right in front of me. You know, like it burned my shirt to me. Like
wow.
and like yeah, dude. And I just like remember like telling Alex like run, 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 like get out of here. Not even, and he's on part of this, you know.
Hmm.
And I don't know any of this, you know, until after all the investigation and everything, you know, that went down. And I just remember getting my seatbelt off, and these guys they dropped a clip outside the door.
Yeah.
You remember all
Oh
this?
yeah,
So
I'll tell you about
yeah,
that in a second.
so
Yeah.
yeah, it was just a mess. Like this whole thing, like once I got all this information about it and how it happened, like dude, you could tell he's not a killer,
He's not a
like
sophisticated.
yeah,
Yeah,
like this
exactly.
wasn't just like they thought. I think I've come to the conclusion with myself like that they just thought I was gonna get scared, and they tried to get one over on me or whatever, and they just I had a different idea and maybe they did too, and it just did not work out in the best way it could have. Maybe the
Yeah.
best way it could have worked out is I just gave it up. But I think this was the best way, me learning this lesson and him learning
Wow.
it too. Because you know what? Um, like they try to give him 25 years, He's
Well,
17 years old.
before we get there, because
Yeah,
I want
yeah,
to talk about that, because that's
yeah,
a powerful part of the story as well.
yeah.
But I don't want to miss. I don't want to miss this part. So you get shot. You get out of the car.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I get out, right? And I get my seatbelt off. I hop out and I'm walking to like the neighbor's house. And that's when I realized like I'm hit, bro. Like I'm hit. I'm just like it's starting to like not hurt. Like it never hurt. Not one bit. Not one bit did it hurt, but it felt like I had a huge weight on me. Like on my like it felt like if like you're on a flat bench and you have 100-pound dumbbell just on your chest. That's the best way I
Wow.
could make it feel. It didn't hurt at all. Like at all. Like it did not burn. It did not nothing. Like and then I just remember trying to walk to that dude's like driveway, and I'm just like getting there, and I'm like, now I'm feeling it. I'm like, oh man, like I'm hit, dude. I'm like, damn, dude, like no way. I'm like, I just remember thinking to myself, I'm like, I didn't even make it out of high school, dude. I was literally thinking about so much stuff already. I was like, no way I go out like this. And I'm just like, dude, I didn't even like see no life. I was like, I never even went nowhere. Like, I didn't even make it out of this place. Like, my mom's gonna be so. I was thinking about
So
like,
you were thinking
man,
you were gonna die.
pretty much. I was like, cause like, why would I go down so easy? I'm thinking like, dude, and where else would it have hit me? Like I kind of
Yeah.
like could feel the area it hit
Yeah.
me in, but it didn't hurt. But I'm just like, dude, I'm cooked, bro. Like I'm done. Like, I'm just like, man, bro. And I just was trying my hardest, and then I just fell down. Like I couldn't even walk. I don't even remember hitting the floor.
But you
Like
do remember having these thoughts like, man, I'm not going to finish high school. Because you hear that, I've watched near death experiences from people, and I've heard so many times where people say, like, you had this flash of life, or you start thinking about the things that you could have did or things that you
yeah.
didn't do. Like, did you have that?
I mean, honestly, like I don't want to say like I don't like talking about it, but I just don't like sometimes I don't because I don't like think people really believe it. And
Oh, I
that's what
believe it.
hurts, because it's like, it's like when people have like godly experiences and then they change their ways because they felt it, but nobody will ever kind of experience that until you go through it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was like we're sitting here right now, right? But like I can't see you, like you're behind me, but like I know you're there,
Mm-hmm.
and like I know of God and like I
Mm-hmm.
believe kind of in God, but like I didn't ever like pay attention to it. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I should have maybe, and like I just remember kind of like you can't. It's the weirdest thing. Like I didn't hear his voice, but like I could feel what he was
But
saying.
yeah.
You know, and like literally, it felt like we were watching an old like a VHS. Like it goes in,
Yeah.
and it's my life. And he's like showing me everything I done, like the bad things I done, and like the good stuff, and just like memories, And he's like watching my file or something,
Wow.
And he's like, "You're not like a bad kid, dude. Like you're not
No,
bad.
you
Like he's
weren't.
just like
Made a bad decision.
yeah, like you're just confused. Like you just messed up, dude.
Yeah.
Like he's like, get out of here, like
So it's like a level of grace.
type thing." And then he just like, I just remember him like kind of like, man, like what are you doing here? Like
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
how I felt. He's like telling me, what am I doing here?
Mm.
And then like I woke up in the hospital, and
Well, it's crazy because I remember so that part. So I'm over you.
yeah,
Ambulance and the fire department, they get there, and I remember, bro. I have a vivid memory of this. I remember as I'm holding your chest, and I don't know who it might have been, Alex,
yeah,
but somebody was sitting on the cinder block wall, and I knew that he was with you. And at the time, I'm thinking like, okay, this is just his friend. He might have been with them, but he was doing this weird thing. He had his hands behind his back, and he was like
I
pushing
remember you telling
down
me this,
into the grass, and I'm like, that's odd. Like it was the weirdest thing, and I could see as clear as day in his fingertips this shiny brass. And I was like, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?" So my partners were there, and I was like, "Hey, somebody grab him."
yeah,
And so then he started getting all hostile with them,
yeah,
and I realized he was trying to push bullets into the grass. So then I didn't even think anything of it because I was like, my mind was like, I got to get to this hospital. I got to make sure this kid makes it out. Like, this is my dog. Like,
yeah,
and this was different than any other situation. I mean, I've gone on some very traumatic things, bro, like drowning babies, fatal traffic collisions, you name it.
Yeah.
But this one was different because I knew who the victim was.
yeah,
So I go to the hospital, and as I go to the hospital, a couple things happen. Number one, your grandma shows up.
yeah.
So I don't think I had ever met grandma to this point.
Rest in peace, Graham.
Yeah. R.I.P. Gran.
Man,
And
dude.
so I don't think I'd ever met Granny to this point. Granny comes over, and so she looks at me up and down and tells us in my story, and she's like, "Are you Tillman?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm Tillman." Like, who's asking?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that was your
Yeah.
grandma.
I talked to her,
And
about
she's
you.
like, yeah, she's like, "Hey, Adrian talks about you all the time. He talks about how you've like helped him out in school, how you're trying to encourage him to be going entrepreneurship or whatever it may be." And bro, as she's telling that, bro, my heart was just tearing to pieces because I'm like, I didn't realize that, bro. I honestly didn't realize that I was making that much of an impact in your life because I do it, but sometimes you like, I don't know, maybe it's going in one ear and out the other. Who knows? And so when she told me that, bro, like my heart was just torn into pieces. So is what grandma was saying, is what she was saying was that accurate?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I would come home and I'd be like, man, like I lost another hat today, but Tillman was telling me I should make my own or make one for the school that I like to wear, and I always remember like things like that, like, and that was like, she was like my mom,
Yeah.
like I have my mom, and but grandma's just different. Grandma's a different type of like.
Grandma was OG.
Grandma's OG, yeah, dude. Like grandma is like, man, she used to bail us all out.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
to-
Your family is not pro police by any means.
No, like that's the whole thing, and like that's why that whole situation. My dad's there, and it's just awkward, man.
Well, before we get to that, because
yeah,
I want to, because Granny comes to me.
yeah,
I'm talking to grandma. My heart's breaking. But things got even more interesting because some of the guys from school start to show up. And I think Jarek was one of them.
oh yeah, yeah,
And they show up and start asking questions.
Yeah.
Now, in my mind at the time, I'm just thinking like, oh, they want to know if their friend is going to make it. Not knowing that, detectives are doing their investigation, they were really there to see if you were going to pull through.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
you're their only witness.
Pretty much.
You're the only witness to your own,
yeah,
essentially attempted murder at the time.
Yeah.
So I didn't even put none of that together. I found that out later. Fast forward. We fast forward. I'm in the hospital. Your mom and your grandmother asked me like, "Hey, what are his chances of survival?" I go and ask the nurse, and the nurse says, "Hey, he's lost like 2 quarts of blood. His odds of survival are slim to none."
Yeah.
And so I'm just thinking like, so I remember praying with your family. I remember praying with them, and the next day I said, "Hey, I have to leave," and because I had to go to something. I had a graduation that day. My buddy was graduating from the academy. So I left to go to graduation. The next day I'm on stage speaking. And the whole time I'm thinking about you. Whole time I'm thinking about you.
Wondering, huh?
Yeah, wondering like, man, is this kid gonna make it? So as soon as I get off the stage, I pull my phone out and I call your grandma or your mom. And I'm already bracing for them to tell me like you didn't make it through the night. I was already bracing to hear that. And the phone, I say this when I speak, but the phone rings and rings and rings, and I hear your voice, and I hear, "Hey, Officer Tillman, that was crazy, right?"
Oh man,
bro,
because you guys gotta understand, this thing went straight through me. I mean, it was like the doctor said, like it was either I'm mixing them up or maybe it's right, but I think he said it was like a half inch from my heart and like a quarter inch from my spine on the way out, and it hit my lung. So my lung collapsed and they had to cut me open, and I got like 28 staples up my back.
Do you have a scar there?
Oh, I got a big old scar. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it's like literally right here on my chest. Like it went right through me. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, like they were telling me I'm lucky, bro. Like that's like they were like it couldn't have gone like any better. He was telling me like that if it was over like a little bit more, like half inch over a little more, my arm would have been useless.
Wow.
Like yeah, so I'm good. Like I'm all right. You know.
Yeah, you're like working out and everything like that.
Oh, dude, yeah. Like that's the thing. Like that's the thing about all this was that I realized I was okay. You know what I mean? Like after the storm kind of like blew over, right? Because at first, oh man, of course I'm real emotional. I want to get my get back. You know, at the time I had a different mentality. Like I was on a like, I'm doing drugs constantly, listening to a bunch of, BS all the time, just like not happy probably, not really appreciating the life that I do have and the people that I have around me and not thinking like that, So I'm like, man, like I'm gonna get this dude, like or whatever. And then like, my family too. And it's just like once I started getting better, I was just like, I'm gonna be all right. Like I'm gonna be good. I could tell. Like I was doing these little arm exercises where you walk up.
Yeah. I had to do that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like once I started seeing that, like I'm all right. Like I'm good. Like, you know what? Like that's when the kind of like it started to like calm down. And I think just the part that really just frustrated me the most was just having to like see my mom like see me like that. Like. Man, you're a kid, like you have kids.
Yeah,
right?
bro, I couldn't.
You know what I mean?
I just did a video today. We just posted it right now of a guy in Cincinnati. He was shot and killed by police. He had a gun. He was running. They were in a stolen vehicle.
Yeah.
He runs from police with the gun. The police shoot him, kill him.
Yeah.
The next day, his dad,
I
enraged.
just seen that this morning too.
The next day, enraged, his dad goes and kills another police officer.
Runs him over, huh?
Innocent police officer. Mm-hmm. And I said, like, look, like, I can't imagine my son being killed.
Yeah.
But then there's this level of like, and this is where I really want to get to as well, is like this accountability. Like,
oh yeah,
we are accountable for our own actions.
Yeah.
And we mess up. And that's one of the things that I've always respected about your dad. And I don't know if your dad knows this. And if he doesn't, you could tell him this. But it kind of moves into the next phase of the story. But you survive. I go and get you a hat. And I get your hat. I was like, man, my boy loves hats. I go to Ontario Mills, picked up a hat, and
Yeah,
I brought it
remember
to
that.
you at the hospital.
Yeah.
It's actually this picture right here that you guys are seeing on the screen right now. This is the picture right after the
Yeah.
day after you were shot. We're in the
Yeah.
hospital. You just got the hat,
Yeah.
and things get interesting
Yeah.
because everybody starts showing up. Your whole family. Now, mind you, his whole family doesn't like
Yeah.
cops.
Yeah. They have just bad
Yeah,
reputation.
yeah.
too,
And so, but for an hour, we put all of our cat and mouse games aside, and we were in there laughing, talking about different things. I was cool with your family, and so forth and so on. But getting back to the point about your dad, is that your dad always, with me at least,
Yeah.
was accountable for what he did.
Yeah.
Like if your dad got caught, he's like, "Yo, tell me, like, I you know, it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
I got caught. It's mine, whatever it may be."
Yeah.
And so he always held himself, like took accountability for his actions. He knew he messed up, but at least he took accountability, usually, at least with me.
Yeah.
And
But I think that's because you also gave him that respect, though. You know, because a lot of times, like, he talks to me about other officers and stuff, and he's like, he doesn't like them because they don't respect him like you do. You know, you don't probably show him the love. Like they come at him crazy. So obviously it triggers something. You know what I mean? Like any like sort of action that's taken at him like that, he's just gonna react to it. But you've always came off like, you know, hey, you always try to like de-escalate, like you talk about with how you interact with people. And that's like huge, you know, because you come off the car right away, hey, you know what? Like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, sheesh, like you might get scared or you might make somebody react in a way that you weren't expecting either, because that's not normal almost.
yeah.
But the way you do it is you try to be cool, calm, and like, you know, try your best. But like you said, there's times when it's like hectic and it's
There's
tough to
always there's
keep
strategy
your-
behind it all, man. Like there's a point, and there is a time where you want to overwhelm somebody.
Yeah.
But usually I always say you get more bees with honey. And in that hospital room, and you brought up love, like, you know, you showed love. Like the lesson of love here was, despite you guys' like cultural differences from me, despite our being on the opposite end of the railroad tracks, I can't relate to that lifestyle. But I never judge you guys because of that lifestyle. And like I always say this when I'm on stage, is like we all had one thing in common that day in that hospital room. And that was that we all had a love for you.
Yeah.
Like I loved you, bro. Like you were one of my own, bro.
Yeah.
Your family obviously loved you because you were their own.
Yeah.
And so I think that thing of this idea of love, like really allowed us to put all of our differences aside for a little bit and just be able to just be humans with one another. And bro, that like meant everything to me. Like and we talked after this, way after this. And I know you were feeling some type of way because I hadn't talked to you in a while.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was just because I didn't even know how to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
But like for me, man, like I share that story because it really did impact me, which is why it's a huge story I share every single time I go out and speak. One of many. And so crazy. I have so many other stories.
Yeah.
But
In
this
your
one
book,
is one that
you got a
stands
lot.
out. This one is one that stands out. And so let's talk about briefly like what came after this, because you also shared what ended up happening. You followed the case of the guy you found out who shot you. And so let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, that's actually a super, super cool kind of event that happened too with him. So like I said, they were trying to give this kid, 17 years old, just like me, 25 years, you know, like they assigned me a public defender. I remember it. So like, it was just yesterday. The dude comes in, you know, his little suit and everything, and he's all
Looking like a public defender.
Yeah, dude, freaking like briefcase on the little table, you know, and he's like, yeah, I think for sure we're gonna be able to give him 25 and all that, you know, and I'm just like, slow down, dude. I'm like, first of all, I'm like, have you ever even been to jail, like, or let alone prison? Like, I asked him, and I'm like, where I'm from, like, you don't even wish that on your worst enemy. Like, that's what my dad used to tell me all the time. And you know, because I lost my dad to that, you know, like look at my dad, Ryan. You know my dad, dude. You know a lot of my family, right? Like I lost them. They're not gonna come back from that. You know what I mean? Like they're done. They already wasted their life kind of almost with it, you know. It'll be a miracle if they can get themselves out of that. You know what I'm saying? And I do pray for it, but you know, that's a kind of like ship has already sailed on that end. But so I know what that kind of place can do to somebody, and especially being a kid, dude. He's 17 years old. I mean, come on. I'm like 25 years. I'm like, do you know like what they make you do in there when you get that kind of time? I'm like, they're gonna get you and see your papers, and they're gonna be like, boom, we got somebody to go and whack somebody else because he's already got a life sentence right here. We're gonna
He
go
has
have
nothing
him.
else to lose.
Nope, he's cooked. He's already done. He's ready. Boom, he's gonna go whack somebody, or they're gonna just use him and just he's not gonna have any hope. He's not gonna think about getting out. And then even if he did make it out, I don't understand how they would expect him to come out and perform in society after
Yeah.
being in a box for 25 years and just being institutionalized like that. I'm like, it's crazy to me like that. That really tripped me out because I'm like, look at me, like I'm good. I'm like, I learned my lesson. Like I remember talking to the judge in the courtroom and everything, and telling her like, it's just really trippy how you guys try to paint him like he's a bad guy. I was doing bad stuff too. I was literally selling drugs. Like I signed up for this. I'm like, I am also wrong in the way he's wrong. I learned my lesson by getting it physically, but he's gonna learn it mentally and emotionally being
Yeah.
in here and living with what he did to me.
Yeah.
And I knew he was sorry. Come on, dude. No, you couldn't lie to me. You couldn't try and act as tough as you wanted, dude. I knew you were sorry, bro. Like, and he might have not wanted to say it right then and there.
Yeah.
But I do remember when he was on the way out, I actually got to go see him like a week before they released him, right?
How much time did he do?
I gave him 5 years.
So when you say you gave him 5 years, tell me a little bit about that real quick.
I told the judge, I was like, honestly, like, I do not feel right with you guys giving him 25 years. I'm like, that's insane. I'm like, he will be an old man already. Like, he won't have a life. Like, his mom never gonna have no grandkids. I'm like,
Bro, you talk about like, bro, what that right there is like something that most like grown adults don't even know how to do, bro. Like you literally,
and I'm 17 at the time.
and you're
Like,
17 at the time, bro. You gave him a level of grace, compassion, mercy
Yeah.
that's undeserved.
Yeah.
Really, when you think about it, because he tried to take your life.
Yeah.
But bro, like that, and that's where it gives me hope about society.
Yeah.
Is where you can get to this place of forgiveness, because that's ultimately what you did in a sense, is you kind of forgave him.
Dude, it took a while, That whole time I couldn't move, bro. Like I was in bed, like, just like frustrated, just like having to like ask my mom to help me get dressed, put my shoes on, like, how like humbling that was, like how embarrassing it was too. Like I couldn't even change, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like,
Yeah.
I couldn't run, like I couldn't walk, like to get all that taken from me, like it was only like maybe like a month or two, not even maybe a month, like before I was really up and walking around like good again. But dang, dude, like you take it for granted, bro. You take everything like just breathing, just being able to talk, like you take all that for granted, like on a daily basis, and that, like I said, this whole thing like super humbled me. And like, I don't know, I just felt like when I woke up in the hospital, like I had glasses on, like I could see different.
Wow.
Like I could see through everything. Like I'm like,
Perspective, perception changed. Everything.
yeah, remember when like my little gang kind of came and they were in there and they took photos of me, right? All right, yeah, they took photos and then they like left, right?
Yeah.
Some kid, his name's Eric. He, I remember he came. I mean, we barely knew each other at school. Like, just like, oh, I like your shoes type.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool bag, I never hung out with him outside of school.
Yeah.
I have no idea. He found me in the hospital. And me and him, he stayed with me for like 3 days, bro. Bought my mom breakfast and everything. And he's like one of my best friends till this day.
Wow.
He just shows up.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's like my angel right there, low key. Like, and he looks out for me, dude. Like, he lets me, like, he always invites me over to his house, like, to family events. Like, and it's like crazy because like I thank God for him sometimes because it's like, he like, God put him in my way to show me like what a real friend was. You know what I mean? All those guys that I was running around with, man, they didn't really care.
Yeah,
You
and a
know,
lot of
that's
times
unfortunate.
it is, and you think that they care about you. Not, you know, I always tell people, man, you really find out who your people are when you go through the fire.
Yeah.
And if those people will either be with you or they're not. And sometimes it's a good thing because you realize
Oh
it
yeah.
exposes the people that you really need in your inner
Yeah,
circle.
it
So
does.
he gets out, you give him 5 years. You said you saw him when he gets out.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, my bad. Get all over the
No,
place
that's
with
good.
that. Yeah,
That's
but
why I'm a host,
yeah,
bro. I know how
yeah,
to
yeah.
redirect
Hey,
things.
good, good. Yeah. So pretty much, I got to see him like a week before he got out for a hearing, um, and they were kind of asking me like if I wanted a restraining order or whatever. You know, I don't remember. I think my mom like requested it, but I was like, no, I'm not really worried about it. You know. Like, but I just did it for her. I think just whatever. But I was interested in like what had happened, and man, bro, you see, like, people couldn't understand my own family. People were mad at me. Why did you give him 5 years? Why did you give him 5 years? Like, what's wrong with you, right? This kid was taking college classes in there. He joined the firefighting little thing they got going on in
Wow.
there. He was like top of their class. He said like he didn't have no issues, didn't give him no issues. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. I'm like, you see, and you guys were about to just waste him away. I was like, he wanted to change, you know, but when you were gonna give him that 25 years, I doubt that would have happened if you'd done that to him. I was like, you know what? And it's crazy because I would think about him all the time. All the time. I'd be wondering, like, man, I hope he's all right. You know, like I wonder, you know, what he's going through and stuff. And it's the weirdest thing. Like, I don't know why I worried about that dude that tried to do that to me, but like, it's just I think like because I felt for him.
Well, you know, you have an interesting perspective, because say you would have died.
Yeah.
Now your family is the one that's going to be the one that say we want life.
Yeah.
And their perspective is much different because he took something from them.
Yeah.
We don't often get to hear the voice of the victim
Yeah.
to the person who did it, and your perspective is much different than that of what your family's perspective would have been.
Oh yeah.
And I'm seeing this firsthand, and it's actually reshaped the way I think about the whole criminal justice system. I'm one of those guys. I truly believe, I do believe wholeheartedly that we should be tough on crime, no doubt about it. Because when you're not tough on crime, people just feel like they can get whatever they want to get over, do whatever they got to
Yeah.
do. But I am huge now on redemption. And that's because I have so many friends, and Billy knows this. We have a huge friend pool of guys that have gone in there, came out, and they were willing and ready to redeem themselves. And bro, they are phenomenal people now. But I was at San Quentin prison about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And bro, talking to young guys, bro, they're 23 years old. Both of them have 15 to life.
Man.
And as I'm talking to them, it's a conversation like this.
Yeah.
And I realize that the conversation that I'm having like this is much different than the person that was out there running the street doing things that they shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah.
And so on one end, I'm all about accountability. I'm huge on accountability.
Yeah.
And I'm all about making sure that you learn a lesson but at the same time, I don't think we should paint every criminal with a broad brush.
Yeah.
In the same way, I don't want every person to paint every police officer with a broad
Yeah,
brush.
exactly.
Because we're all different.
Yeah.
And if you classify us all in the same, then it's wrong to everybody. And so you actually kind of bring this to life right now.
Yeah, because it's just like because you just called me the other night, right? Mm-hmm. And I was at Bible study, and I mean like I don't want to try and paint it like, oh, I'm like, you know, like,
Bro, that's okay.
perfect or
no,
nothing, guys.
nobody's
Like, you know,
perfect, but
yeah.
bro, God is doing a work in your life.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and let me say that too. Like, you know, I've definitely like been putting more of my trust and like faith in God these last couple years. You know, like definitely, I think for any like young cat out there, maybe even like you're never too young to start learning about God. If anything, the sooner the better, because like you think I forgave him that easily on my own? That wasn't me.
Huh.
You know what I mean? Like that was something working inside of me day by day. And now that I'm this age and I'm here now, I realize what was happening that whole time. Like looking back on it, I'm like, I got tested and I passed my test, kind of, you know, and it's not even over though. Like it's a weird thing. Like it's still developing,
Of course,
day by day, you know? And like the other night we were at Bible study with my boys, and this guy, I forgot his name. Let me see. I just got his number too. I can tell you his name, so you guys can check him out too. And he spoke to us, right? I think his name was Kelly. Yeah, Kelly, Stahl. I don't know. You
Okay.
guys could look him up.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, yeah.
right? He had a crazy story, bro. I guess he was in like the foster care
Mm-hmm.
system and like in and out of homes his whole life. Like his parents, they both overdosed or something like that.
Mm,
Or I think his dad crashed the car one time
mm.
and his brother flew out. They were babies. His
Oh
brother
my
flew out.
goodness.
His brother died on impact and he lived. And then I think he was with his mom and his mom was like shopping at a Walmart and like told some lady like, "Hey, I need you to take care of my kids," and just left him there. And he went through the ringer with his like whole life just in and
Wow.
out, right? Okay. And I guess he was like talking about how, he had a lot of siblings, but I guess like most of them were like either like mentally or sexually or physically abused and all kinds of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that one day the pastor that used to like abuse him, he got a job finally. I think he was like 17 and he could leave, or 18 and he could
Mm-hmm.
leave, right? And he got a job. And he says the pastor and his wife and his kids sat down in the restaurant, and when he came over to serve them the food, the pastor recognized him and broke down and literally started bawling because of all the things he had done to him as a boy. And
Wow.
like I told and he said that like the pastor waited outside until he got off of work because he wanted to ask him for forgiveness. And to imagine, you're a kid. He's only 17 years old,
Oh
bro, at the
my
time, right?
goodness.
And this guy done all these horrible things
Mm-hmm.
to him. You know what I mean? And I asked Kelly, I was like, like, how did you like find that in you? He was only, I think Kelly was like my age too.
Oh my
And Kelly told
goodness.
me because he had a kid when he was 15.
Yeah.
So he's like, I needed help. So I asked God for help a long time ago. He's like, I was always into, and he's like, when we were getting abused, we would be getting abused underneath praying hands, and there would be like
Oh my
passages,
goodness.
like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I can't remember what are they called, like verses,
Oh
Bible
yeah.
verses,
Yeah.
all around the house. And he's like, I'm so confused. How is this happening to all of us?
Wow.
And he's like, he's like, he told the guy, I forgave you a long time ago. He's like, but there's just like that pastor probably never gonna forgive himself.
Bro, you
That's insane,
Adrian,
right?
man, you're like, bro, you are so far beyond your years, bro. I'm not just saying that to say that, bro.
Yeah,
Like the wisdom that you have is what I pray that most people can get to a place. I was this weekend I was at church and there's a lady there who's going through the ringer and
yeah,
forgiveness is a difficult thing. And bro, let me tell you, bro, this year, bro, I've been tested,
yeah,
no doubt about it, with forgiving people. But I said forgiveness is like a old wound.
yeah,
Like when I tore all the ligaments in my shoulder,
yeah,
I had to have surgery.
yeah,
And so the surgery goes to get repaired. And so that's what I equate the initial forgiveness
yeah,
to, is because when I had that surgery, you're repairing something. So when you first forgive somebody, you're repairing something that's broken.
yeah,
But there's always signs that you hurt it originally.
yeah, yeah.
Because sometimes my shoulder in cold weather,
Just don't feel right.
it don't feel right certain times. It's not what it used to be.
Yeah, yeah,
I can still function, I can still lift, I can do all the different things, but at times there's signs
yeah.
that there was a wound
Damage.
there.
There was
There's damage. And
yeah.
that's why I say, so forgiveness is not a destination, it's a journey.
Yeah,
And
because it's not just gonna happen.
it's
like
not
that.
just going to happen
Boom.
overnight,
Yeah,
but the forgiveness really has to come from a place that's not of you. That's true forgiveness.
yeah,
Because, bro, how do you forgive somebody who literally tried to take your life?
yeah,
Adrian can't do it on his own. That has to come from something within you. And I think that's the wisdom that you are starting to see, bro, is what most people need to learn to get to.
yeah. But it's like I said, it's not easy, and like one day, things will just happen to you that you literally feel like hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've not even just this whole thing of me getting shot and all that, but like more than that, like things I've seen, just like people that I know that have problems going on in their life that hurt me watching them struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, what can I do? Like, I can't do anything. I physically can't do anything,
Yeah.
but I doesn't mean I can't pray for you.
Yeah.
Because like, you know,
Sometimes that's all you can do.
yeah, like Kelly told this guy the other night because he asked like Kelly a question or whatever, and I think the guy was saying he had like problems trusting people, and he was like, Kelly told him, well, it's funny because like, okay, say like you give your mom and your sister and your brother all the passes in the world, right? Because they're family,
Hmm.
but they're the ones who hurt you all the time. He's like, but this new guy will come in, right? And he hurts you one time, and it's like, oh, he's a horrible person, right?
That's a good
But
point.
because you held him higher than these people,
Dang.
and it's like, no, he's human. You know, he made one mistake,
Yeah.
but you're willing to give your mom and all these
Yeah.
other
All these
people
free
all these
passes.
free
Yeah.
passes.
That's a great
He's like,
perspective.
yeah, and I'm just like, dude, this guy's great. And I'm like, and then we even had Michael Francis. He was the mob boss
I
of
know
the
Michael.
Colum.
So Michael Francis came and spoke to me when I was at UNLV. There's a
Okay,
guy named. I don't want to put his name out there, but there's another friend of mine
yeah,
who knows Michael Francis really well, and I'm actually in the
yeah.
process of trying to get on Michael Francis's podcast. So he came
Oh,
and spoke to
sick.
you guys.
Yeah, he spoke to us. So look, shout out to the Renaissance Room down there in Pomona at the Union Station right there.
Wow.
That's my boys doing. They have a little church thing that they get going on
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there
yeah,
for
yeah.
like. So basically, it's for like instead of us going out and drinking and smoking and everything like that, it's a place where we come and we try to like talk about each other's stories and just learn about God and stuff. And it's
Yeah,
good,
my
bro.
buddy Andrew. Well, I just put my boy
Yeah,
Andrew. Good people.
yeah,
He knows Michael Francis, but Michael Francis,
yeah.
bro. When I was in college, my freshman year of college,
Awesome, bro.
came and talked to my football team
Oh
about
yeah,
decision making
yeah.
and making bad decisions and the cost of those decisions that you make. So, I don't want to, man. I know you had some questions for me. So before we wrap this
Oh yeah, yeah,
podcast up, I want to let you. I'm gonna switch the role,
yeah.
and I'm gonna be in the guest chair.
Man,
And
that was a
let you
good
be the
talk though,
host.
dude. I'm so glad we can get that out of there because man, that's
Bro, I'm proud of you, Adrian, and I'm telling you, man, I don't say that just to say it, bro. I really am proud of you.
yeah,
Seriously, I love you,
yeah.
bro.
I do, yeah, dude. She helped me out a lot more than you'd ever know, dude. Seriously, you know. Yeah, but no, I had some questions. I was like, what were some things you had to sacrifice to be here or to get to where you are right now?
Man, great question. So, things that I've had to sacrifice. I've had to sacrifice not fitting in.
Yeah,
What I mean by that, in my life, the older I get, it's so easy to just go with the flow of everything.
yeah,
But sometimes it's hard. Going with the flow is not always the right thing to do.
yeah,
And so when I started my organization, BBU, I had to sacrifice not being able to fit in and try to climb the corporate ladder, you would call it,
yeah,
for because in my mind, I felt like there was a greater calling. And even to this day, like I'm getting ready to run for governor of California.
yeah,
And there's a lot of people that say like, what makes you think you can do that?
yeah,
So I sacrifice, you know, not fitting in with what people think, fitting into the box that people want me to do.
yeah,
So I think that's one of the sacrifices I've had to make. And then the other sacrifice is time, bro. Like time.
yeah,
Like I have a great life and I get to spend a lot of time with my wife and my kids, but anytime I'm away from them is
yeah.
time away from them.
Mm-hmm.
So I sacrifice time, but those are probably the two biggest things
Yeah.
that I've had to sacrifice, at least that I can think of right now. What was it? There was a two-part question. What was the second part of that question?
Oh, and it was just it says so. What were some things you had to sacrifice to be here or to get to where you are
Okay,
now?
cool. Yeah.
So it's
Yep.
kind of you
Yep.
answered that pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know what? Just kind of touching on that too. I'm not gonna lie. I actually put my 2 weeks in with that company I was working with just because of that. Because like I was working like 50 hours a week, bro,
Sheesh.
and I couldn't even sit down and like get my thoughts out on my
Yeah.
head, and like, and I want to go to the gym, right? And I got my little nieces,
Yeah.
and I got my little sister,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, my grandpa, dog, my great grandpa that I still live with. I'm like in my house that I live in. I'm like, I feel like I ain't even shown none of it or them the time and love because of how much I was working. So I am gonna make some sacrifices and I'm gonna just probably try and just do like something part time.
Good for you.
Yeah. And two, just because maybe like I was telling my mom like this kind of that I was gonna do this. And you know, I told her, I'm like, I'm not like hoping that like I get like noticed or nothing, like, or like, you know, money or anything like that at all. I just hope that maybe it opens up some doors for me that I can do something like what you do, because I want to get this out to the kids. And I think that I have something that you can use, you know, and that other people can use. Like, and I have a story, you know,
Bro, you
and
absolutely do.
and I
Bro,
just want to make sure that if I could save them literally any struggle, like, and save them the time, and like, and it doesn't even have to just be like on some like how do you say, like
transactional where you got
yeah, like I want to donate my car to a school so they can use it for automotive to teach the kids how to do brakes and oil changes, like something like that. Like I want to like make them have something to look forward to. Like I'm going to be growing up with these kids, and I want them to be smart.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be growing up with a bunch of hooligans. Like don't be like me, dude. Like let me show you how to actually buy a car the right way. Dude, I got freaking screwed on that.
I mean, you told me about that.
And I want to save them the trouble of that. I'm like, don't buy it. I'm like, dude, you don't even know what comes with it. You think just buying it is, and that's it. No.
Tell the story. Tell a real quick story, because we were short. But tell a quick story about you buying that car,
dude.
And what the lesson you learned.
I got 12 tickets in 1 year, and then also I got like, I was just paying ridiculous amount of money for it, and it's just like, you know, like
I laugh because when you're young, bro, you don't.
Yeah, and everybody's probably gone through this, right?
Yeah,
but. If I could just, and you don't listen to your parents for some reason, but maybe you will listen to me, you know, because I'm a young cat, whatever. And you know what's so funny is I literally on a daily basis, my homies are like, oh, dude, I'm going to try and get, I'm like, dude, please, for the love of God, like, do not buy this thing. I'm like, bro, I'm like, you know how much money I spent on this? I'm like, it's awesome. I get it. Yeah, when you're in it,
it was
rent
great
it. I'm like, I wish I would have rented one for the day. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm the owner of this thing. I'm like, I'm trapped. And it's like that's the things I want to teach kids, like interest rates, like real life stuff. Like I want to get something going where it's like, I had it called ARP, appreciation, responsibility, and planning. I want to start something like that.
That's dope.
To educate the kids, because I don't want them to go through all these troubles that I went through. Like, it's so stressful already, this world we live in.
Yeah.
I don't need them stressing out on all these other things. Like,
bro, you're finding your purpose, bro. You're finding God preserved your life that day because he knew he had something greater for you to do. But it's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to walk in that purpose. And that's what the same reason why I left being a full-time police officer is I felt God had been called me to do something greater.
Yeah.
And it's up for me to decide to do it whether or not. And so a couple of the questions, and then we're going, yep, this is great.
All right. So on your rise to fame or success, what trials or tribulations did you face?
I would say, man, just the fear of the unknown. You know, we've done really well, but Bedros, and we're in Bedros' studio right now, but he always says it's new levels, new devils, bro.
Oh yeah. That's a good one. I like that.
And it's true. Every step you take, the higher you go, you're always gonna have, it's always a new battle. So the outside looking in, there's probably people like, man, Ryan, you got it made, bro. You get to speak for a living, you make good money, you get to do this. But bro, like if you're in my household, bro, and you hear, if you were a fly on the wall to hear the conversations that me and my wife have, you know, there's always, because you're always chasing things. And so I think some of the biggest lessons I've learned is just be grateful.
Yeah.
Just have a heart of gratitude with everything and have a heart of gratitude without everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know this more than most people, but being grateful for your health.
Oh, yeah,
being grateful for, you know, waking up. I watched a video the other day of a guy that did a podcast, and he was a college football player, bro. And he had
from LSU.
Yes,
yeah,
he had the tumor. He had the tumor on his head. They did brain surgery on him, and bro, like, he's like, his whole life turned upside down. And so on one end, he's grateful that he has life, but on the other end, bro, it's like, so I think for me, is just trying to learn to live in this place. And my pastor just did a sermon this weekend on that. It's just having a heart of gratitude, despite your circumstances.
Yeah, dude, that's so sad what happened to that
Oh,
kid.
bro, it's terrible.
I seen his buddy, you know that video? He like
Yeah.
once he leaves, his
Yeah.
buddy just breaks
Bro, yeah.
down, dude.
It's terrible, but it's inspiring.
Yeah, it is, you know? That's what I was talking to you about. Like, because I had, like, I think when we talked at that high school, I was telling them, you know, I got a buddy, he's 19. He's paralyzed from the waist down. You know, he's never going to run again. Just imagine you guys waking up tomorrow and you can't run. You can't get up.
Yeah.
I'm like, he got so humbled, you know, with that, but also is like so sad, bro, because it's like whenever I have bad days, I go and I think of him and I go talk to him.
Yeah, I have a friend like that too, Leon.
Yeah. And it's like super sad because it's like, you know, you take it for granted, you know?
We do.
I'm like, just even to talk right now.
Yeah.
Like, when you start thinking like that.
Bro, I lost my voice like 4 years ago. Like, legitimately lost my voice. Like, I couldn't talk. Bro, and I was like, it's the worst thing ever. So it's like you take all those things for granted.
Yeah, until they're gone. And then,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Now looking back on your life and where you came from, did you ever think you would be where you are today?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I kind of
not.
figured I knew the question.
Yeah,
I knew
no,
the answer, but I just kind of wanted to see.
No, great
like,
question. Actually,
yeah.
I was telling somebody the other day when I was speaking, I said, look, I had no aspirations of being a cop. I had no aspirations of getting into politics. I had no aspirations of of being a pastor.
Yeah.
And all those different things. But when you say yes to God, be careful. And so when you say yes to God, be careful, be willing and ready. It won't be easy. But man, God will transform your life the moment you say yes, bro. And and ultimately, like, you know, there's a scripture that says, delight yourself in the Lord and he'll reveal the desires of your heart. I'm absolutely living in the desires that I had in my heart. I wanted to, like, everything that I had in the desires has been fulfilled. It's just not in the way I thought it was going to be fulfilled. It's crazy. But you know, you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, man. And not every day is easy. You know, sometimes it feels like you have more down days than you have up days, bro. But you know, as long as you have that opportunity to go out there and just get after it every single day, man, it's a blessing.
Heck yeah. All right, so I got like two more for you. So
you got it.
All right, because I think these are good ones that I like. So what do you value more, time or your health? And why don't you value both more? And what would you want your kids to value? Either their time or like their, you know.
Bro, that's a good one. You know, man, that's so good, bro. I would honestly probably have to answer that and say health.
Yeah.
Because I can make the most and maximize my time if I'm in good health.
Yeah. You remember we've been talking a lot about Gary Brecka and all that stuff that's been going on, right? So that's another thing too. Like, I've been trying to get like people like that I know. I'm like, hey, you should like try to not eat that, or try and like, try this out, you know, like.
My dad, my dad, when he got diagnosed with MS in 2008, I watched, and I think I said this in that presentation, I watched the strongest man of my life become the weakest man of my life.
Yeah.
And although my dad was physically here present with me, he wasn't the same dad that I knew when he was healthy.
Yeah.
So I think that gave me a different perspective on the time and health.
Yeah.
Is if I have health, I can maximize my time.
Yeah.
But if I don't have time, then I can't.
Yeah, because if you take care of yourself, you'll be here longer anyways.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
great question, bro. You deep, bro.
And what do you think about like what would you want your kids to like kind of work on?
Oh, I want my kids to value their health for sure.
Yeah.
Because like you said, if they are healthy, then they will maximize their time.
Yeah.
But I also want them to understand that time is a very, very time you can't get. Time is fleeting. You can't get it back.
Yeah. That's another thing too, because like I have my little nieces and I have my sister, and I'm kind of like, man, like I'm just like, I just kind of, they're in high school, dude. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I know how hard I work and it's not enough.
Yeah.
And I fear for that, for them, because I'm like, what are you guys going to do?
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, and I just pray. That's how I think I need to get.
They'll figure it out. Right, you'll come to that place of peace, bro.
Yeah, that's why I kind of also been trying to get more right with God.
Oh,
I'm
bro,
like, dude, please, if I can't do it, like I need your help, bro. Cause
and He will, bro. In this time.
Yeah, and it might be a struggle, and it might not look like it's like the sun's coming out, but He's working.
He is.
You know what I mean? So I've learned to like kind of let it slide. Oh gosh.
Sorry. Oh no, you're good, bro. Man. You're good.
Fumbling, dude.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, you're good.
But okay, last one. When you were my age, what was your dream, or like kind of like?
How old are you right now?
Well, I kind of wrote this asking like maybe when I was like, I would say like 17.
Oh, okay. So
maybe like younger, you know. But
when I was like in high school, my dream was always just play football. in college, which I did.
Yeah.
And then it slowly became to be my own boss, to be an entrepreneur and run a big business.
Yeah.
And then that changed. And so what's crazy is when I became a police officer, I was like, man, there goes my dreams of being a business owner.
Yeah.
Because I just thought, I was like, oh, it's over. But what I realized was like being a police officer was just a vehicle to get me to ultimately where God had intended for me all along. When I said, like, you know, delight yourself in the Lord, He'll fulfill the desires of your heart. The desire of my heart was to be a business owner. Yeah. So when I became a police officer, I was like, well, there goes that desire. Yeah. But no, it was just a vehicle to get me to where I wanted to go. Yeah. So I don't think that what I'm doing now is what I'm going to be doing in 15, 20 years from now. Yeah. And so I still believe that even what I'm doing now as a business owner is just a part of the journey to get me to fulfill what God's purpose is in my life. And along the way, I'm fulfilling some of His purposes. Yeah. So I just want to maximize that as much as I can. Like, my goal is when I die and I enter into the pearly gates, for God to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Like, I don't want to leave any stone unturned while I'm on this earth. Yeah. And sometimes it's hard, bro. And it's taxing, it's tiring. Yeah. But bro, I think we're all capable, man. And for sure. And bro, I'm so proud of you, man. Like, to see where you are now. Yeah. You will do those things, and know, bro, you possess all the things you need. Yeah. You possess to accomplish what you want to do. Yeah. The story, the adversity, your family, to know what to do, what not to do, having good friends. Like, bro, you possess all the tools in your toolbox. Yeah. Now it's time for you, bro, just to start figuring out which wrench goes with which part, bro, and start putting it together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of why I don't want to say like that's the entire reason, but like also like why I kind of like took that away, like not took it away, but put my 2 weeks in with that job, because I'm like, you know what, I know what I want to do now, kind of where I want to go, at least like kind of have an aim on it.
And nowadays you don't have any kids yet. Yeah, you don't have a wife yet. Yeah. You could take all the calculated risks you want right now, bro. Exactly. Because even if you fall flat on your face, you still, nobody else depends on it necessarily yet.
I won't affect anybody else really too bad. Too bad. Yeah, like
exactly. So take all the calculated risks now, bro, and you're gonna be good. Yeah, yeah. But hey, man, I love you, bro. Know that. Tell mom and everybody. Tell your dad if you talk to your dad. Tell him I said hello. Yeah. If you guys haven't already, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button for this podcast. But more importantly, follow my boy Adrian around. Like, he's gonna do some big things. Ask about him. I don't know if you have a social media that you want him to follow yet. If not, if you do, great. If not, all good.
I'll say I'll try and make something for you guys to follow me, because like as of right now, I make music and stuff. Good. And I mean, it's not like super glamorous because it's from when I was younger. Okay. And I just want to say, like, I don't want to bury that, because I don't want people to try and go and look for like reasons to try to like knock my shine or something like that. Yeah. But like, I want to also leave it for people to see, like, look, this is where I came from. That's what I was doing, but watch where I'm going to go. Like, I'm going to change my music up. I want to almost do like something like T.I., like Dead and Gone. Like, like something like that, because you kids listen to music all day long, and it's just all that nonsense, and I want to try and give them something good to listen to that inspires you to get your day going, like, and to do right. I love it. So I'm going to try and work on some stuff. Like, I got a new song that's coming out. It's called Out of Town. And it's like, I came a long way from breaking down pounds. Now I'm in the booth trying to get up out of town.
Bro, that's dope, bro.
Yeah, and I got my homie.
Yeah, like Forrest Frank, all these guys, Andy Mineo, these are guys that I listen to now. Yeah. Really good, positive hip hop. And like, when they say Christian rap, I hate saying Christian rap because it's like
something just good music.
Yeah, but there is, bro, it is dope. So, but I'll keep you guys updated on where you guys can follow along with Adrian's journey. Do me a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I think some of y'all caught it when I said in the podcast that your boy is going to be running for governor. That is true. We will be announcing the first part of June. So if you guys want to get involved, if you guys want to help out, do me a favor, reach out, info@breakingbarriersunited.com. Help us out with our campaign, volunteer, donate, whatever you have it. But with that being said, Adrian, I love you, bro. Keep up the great work, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Take care and God bless.